Are you on the committee now?
I'm not. It's on.
We are recording.
Oh my God.
I don't need to tell you guys.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Portsmouth Blue Ribbon Sister City Committee. Happy New Year. First meeting of the 2026. First of all, we'll take attendance, I guess. Christine Freeze.
Here.
Stephanie Secord.
Here.
Ben Van Camp.
Here.
Mary Carey Foley.
Here.
And Robert Kennard. Here. All right, and Richard Blaylock, present. All right, first up, we have old business. We have update on Sister City Fund and next steps.
So the next step is that Mr. Sullivan and I have an appointment with legal. We spoke with them last month, sent them some documents that we had discussed here in the committee for them to use, and we have a meeting with them next Thursday, I believe.
All right, awesome.
What was that last part that you said?
Bob and I have a meeting with them next Thursday. I'm hoping that everything we discussed and sent them is enough for them to have done the paperwork.
Okay,
I'll have more news next week.
great, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, next up, we have review and approval of minutes from December 16th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Second.
Sorry, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chair votes aye. All right, next up, we have the Santa Congelo artwork that was gifted to the city of Portsmouth. I don't know who wants to touch on that.
I realized in doing either of the minutes for November or December, that where we left it was that the mayor thought it would be appropriate in Vaughan Mall. And that we were gonna advise Park, the Public Art Review Committee, that would be the mayor's preference and let them take it from there. So we haven't done that yet, but.
Yeah. Should we wait a motion to send them
Sure. So moved, as I just.
send them a letter, just stating that, our recommendation is that. The
mayor.
mayor's recommendation is Vaughan Mall, but it's up to it really falls under their purview.
And I will accompany that with all the information we got from them from when Mayor of Sant'Angelo was here.
I don't know if you guys remember, it was a Lumineer sign. It was a big phrase in cursive writing, I think, in lights. I believe it was.
Yeah.
White lights, right? Like there's.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Chair votes aye. Excellent. All right, new business. We have Explore Friendship City agreement with Halifax, Nova Scotia. This, I think had to stem from just our Zoom Christmas, right?
Yeah, we should say for the record that some of us were on the Zoom Christmas greeting with the Lord Mayor of Portsmouth, England, Old Hampshire, as he said.
Yes.
And on that call, we met the mayor of Halifax and realized, gee, we have things in common and we're not far from one another. And historically, and I think economically, we have similarities. So Steph and I were talking afterwards about want to take it from there.
Now that we have a process.
Yep.
For starting with a friendship city, which is kind of the low-hanging fruit version, that we could go to him. Subsequently, I was telling Christine, I happened to ride over to the shipyard with the mayor yesterday for the deplaquing of the Cheyenne, which we were host community for. Anyway, I mentioned this idea of extending an overture to Halifax. And he said, well, interestingly enough, Senator Shaheen's office had contacted him about that idea in the interest of trying to bolster friendship and trade with Canada. And the mayor of Halifax, I haven't cross-referenced the names, but presumably the man we met on the Zoom in December is going to be in Boston in February, and Mayor McEachern is going to go meet him. So we might, as a committee today, just, say, we think it's a great idea and happy to help, and we have a process and all that kind of stuff. So the mayor has some background information when he meets with the man in February.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think especially since they have a relationship with Portsmouth, England, you know, and that little kind of triangle. You know, my only worry is obviously spreading our bandwidth so broadly, but that's always a worry. We don't have a friend, or we don't have a friendship or sister city in our neighbor in Canada.
In this hemisphere,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyone in South America?
Oh,
Yeah.
Didn't the Lord Mayor from England say that he was coming to Halifax during the summer for one of those boat races?
he did. I remember the conversation about the global challenge
Yeah.
race.
Yeah. So if we can broach a relationship with the gentleman from Halifax, I wrote his name down, I don't remember it. And then use that as a swing into getting back up there when the Lord Mayor from England
Yeah,
is over. Then it's the second visit, it's with the gentleman from England. I think it'd be a great opportunity to everybody say hi and face to face and eye to eye. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing that I found out that I think I shared with the committee, is I'd been doing some work on a historical marker for the Wentworth assisted living, senior living, formerly the Wentworth Mansion on Pleasant Street. And John Wentworth, when he left Portsmouth, ended up in Halifax, as many loyalists did, and he ended up going from being the royal governor of New Hampshire to being the royal governor of Halifax, of Nova Scotia. So that's interesting, and I am meaning to, and haven't yet, checked on the explosion in Halifax. Boston is, I think they're officially sister cities with Halifax. But every year, the Boston Christmas tree comes from Halifax, because when there was a huge explosion in Halifax Harbor, World War I era, I want to say, Boston rushed supplies and doctors and nurses and all kinds of stuff to Halifax, and that's why the relationship. I have to believe that we sent people too. And it'll be interesting to look at the newspapers of that moment from Portsmouth and see if we participated, because we don't want to step on Boston's toes.
Right.
But if we too supported that relief effort, that makes even more sense, and it just builds the case. So I will look that up. Cool.
I don't see, I just looked the Boston sister cities up and Halifax does not appear.
So they're not a formal.
Even
okay.
I don't know if there's friendship cities on another page or something, but they're not
Yeah.
a sister city.
Do they have one in Canada, Boston?
They,
Yeah.
Japan, China, Italy, Australia, no.
They do have Belfast though, which is right next to Carrickford. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Which raises the interesting conversation, whether Boston has a sister city committee and whether we should maybe talk to them at
Yeah,
some
they
point.
could. They do have some big cities, Melbourne, Padua, Kyoto,
Kind of the same.
same countries, the
countries,
same
region.
countries, exactly.
So we'll continue looking into that. And, when is Robert, do you remember when that boat race was?
I do not.
And that
They were
is-
talking about two of them.
I imagine it's
two-
in the summer or.
Summer or spring, certainly. Yeah,
I did do it like today.
probably not today, probably not even next week. I think, yeah, but I just,
Yeah, I don't have my notes from
Yeah,
number either.
I do remember. Yeah.
Canada.
but if we can connect with Halifax long before the warm weather,
Part of the
then
global.
through that time together that weekend or whatever, we can certainly find out about the boat races. I thought they were going to Germany, but the folks from,
It might have been Germany,
some of the
but
folks from Germany were talking about the boat race too.
yeah. I know the Lord Mayor was changing in May because we were invited to the investiture. And
Okay,
then there's an anniversary. This year is a big anniversary for them. 200? 200?
It's, yeah, even though their charter is 11 something.
Right, no,
there-
but I thought it was a little
There
more
is
than
100,
100.
100 and
It is June 20th and 21st, the Canada Sail Grand Prix.
I'm sorry, what is it?
June 21 and June 20th to 21.
Okay, so that would be with the new Lord Mayor and from Portsmouth then.
If he is going, right. Canada Sail Grand Prix, part of the Global Sail GP Championship.
it may be that they're stopping in Portsmouth. That was the connection.
It could be because we do have tall ships about that time. I just wrote the dates down for the tall ships.
I met Portsmouth, England.
Oh. They could be stopping in Portsmouth, England too, yeah.
Right. Sorry, I realized I skipped over item D, the ordinance to establish the Blue Ribbon Committee as a permanent sister city committee. So we'll jump back up to that. We had discussed this in November, I believe, December, we talked about, we wanted to ask the new council, considering that they would, be the ones dealing with it. So we would wait till January, wait till now. So I submitted it to be on the agenda for Tuesday's meeting. In order to submit it for Tuesday's meeting, I had to get it in by Wednesday at noon. So I submitted the draft. It can be amended before first reading. So that's where I kind of look for all your input. And I wasn't, if I had known this before, I would have had us all written it together. So I apologize for that.
I'm sure
Yeah,
you send it.
yeah. Let me send this to the.
Yeah, probably make easy enough because we trust you to look at it right now and just, if there are any changes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go let me just read it real quick.
Yeah.
And Attorney Morel helped me out with this. So I'll skip the chapter 1 administrative code part. And it goes to the mission of the Sister City Committee is to foster international friendship and understanding through cultural, educational, and economic exchanges with our sister cities and friendship cities. Our goal is to enrich our community's global perspective, promote cultural awareness, and build lasting relationships that benefit both Portsmouth and our international partners. And B, we got membership and term. The Sister City Committee will consist of one city councilor to be designated by the mayor to serve concurrently with their 2-year council term, and 3 community members. I had to give a minimum. So that was where I didn't want to give a too big of a number because, we've had problem. The committee gets too big, then it gets hard to meet, having a quorum and everything. So 3 community members to serve 3-year terms each. As attrition causes the number of community members to drop below 3, the mayor will appoint with council approval new members to 3-year staggered terms. In addition, the library director will serve as a member of the committee. C, qualifications: members will have demonstrated knowledge of and interested in the city's history and affiliation with its sister and friendship cities. Powers and duties: the Sister City Committee will provide advice, guidance, and assistance to the city council, the city manager, city boards with respect to the following goals, and shall with the advice and consent of the city council. And then I have 8 goals listed here. 1 is organize and promote cultural events that celebrate traditions, arts, and heritage of our sister and friendship cities. 2 is facilitate artists and performer exchanges to showcase diverse cultural expressions. 3 is develop student exchange programs that allow local youth to experience life in sister and friendship cities, enhancing their global awareness and understanding. 4, create opportunities for local businesses to connect with counterparts in our sister and friendship cities, thereby fostering trade and collaboration. 5, promote tourism initiatives that encourage residents and visitors to explore the unique offerings of our sister and friendship cities. 6, engage Portsmouth residents through volunteer opportunities. 7, support initiatives that address global challenges, encourage global citizenship. 8, foster healthy international relationships through common international languages such as sports and math. That basically sums it up.
Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And I would maybe suggest some it's probably easiest as a separate goal to reinforce historical connections.
Yeah.
Between Portsmouth, New Hampshire and our sister and friendship cities. Because we really have a unique platform there, as Steve Kowski keeps saying.
Several of them.
Most of our, I mean, like Halifax, most of our relationships,
I think they'll have characters.
Yeah.
Japan, Italy.
Yeah.
England.
Any other initial comments? I'll email them if this has already been emailed out and so we can discuss it.
So it was basically what you emailed out, at least 7 members.
Yeah.
3 had to be residents. And so that leaves opportunity for folks like Stephanie and myself to still
Yes.
be engaged.
Yeah, and that was the idea. Trying to keep those minimums low and trying to keep the Yeah.
Great.
parameters not too rigid. We're ready. No, reading that, I did realize that history was not mentioned in our goals, which is
So first reading,
sorry.
I can't even hear half of what you're saying.
Sorry.
is first reading this Tuesday or is it the next meeting?
No, so it's on the agenda for Tuesday and we'll make a motion to schedule first reading.
Okay, gotcha. So there's time for.
Yeah, so there's time. We're just looking to establish the Sister City Committee as a permanent committee.
You're doing a great job. It's a fairly new committee, isn't it?
It is. We had it when years ago. They had a blue ribbon, with Jim Splain was assistant mayor.
Japan, I know, was.
Yeah, and so I think it's come and gone
Right.
the years.
And the idea is exactly because of that if it's a permanent committee, then there's some continuity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, we're not always reinventing the wheel.
Appreciated.
No, I think now that we have these such strong relationships, especially Santa Cargelo and Nichinan, that those aren't going away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those are permanent.
We don't have to keep going over how do we do things?
Yeah, and I don't want to have it like lapse for 2 years, you know what I mean? And just be like, hey, sorry, bless you. All right, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. So should we just wait a motion to add that to the goals or should we wait till we all review and
I mean, do it now and
Yeah.
then we'll do
Okay.
any next step. So I move that we add a goal that is that the committee will how did I put it before? Recognize and support
recognize and support?
the historical basis for sister and friendship city relationships.
So moved.
Recognize and support
The
Historical basis.
historical basis.
Anything Stephanie says, I just move.
She moved it. You seconded it.
I mean, yeah, I just said it, yeah.
of our sister city.
Sister and friendship cities.
All right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chair votes aye. Perfect. We'll add that as goal number 9. I'll make that amendment Tuesday, during the meeting before the council has discussion. That way.
Because that gives you a good opportunity to talk about Nishinana, Santa Angelo, Portsmouth.
Yep.
And that's really our unique advantage as a sister city entity.
Right. We didn't just pick a city out of thin air. There's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
with all of our others too, there's a
Right.
connection, but in this case,
No,
at
there's
least 3
Several
connections,
really
there's really
strong-
historic.
they're pretty, deep. So, and on that, anything that, any input or anything, you'd like me to say about, I'd appreciate any, when I talk about the sister cities, talking points, thank you. But I mean, I kind of want it to come from the committee, just say like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why it's important. I think a lot of this work we do probably doesn't get noticed and
Right.
I think that happens with a lot of committees.
Yeah, good time to remind people why we're here.
Yeah.
And that, you know, certainly it's true that this committee recognized that there is a need for the continuity and, you know, the idea of making it a permanent rather than a blue ribbon committee is because of these longstanding relationships and recognizing how important these relationships are to our sister cities, that we should be reflecting that everything we've been doing lately is in the interest of, they do so much for us. We
Yeah.
really need to up our game.
Yeah, we kind of been reacting instead of acting. No, I certainly agree.
But I'm happy to put some notes together for you if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah, thank you. All right, go to the next item. Under new business, we have the Portsmouth United Kingdom choral concert participation by the Portsmouth High School.
Yeah, they, again, on the holiday call, the assistant, I think Carol is the assistant to the Lord Mayor.
Yep.
Mentioned that to celebrate their 100th anniversary this year, they are putting together a global concert. I've seen this, I think the example they're offering is something I've seen that happened during COVID, that you could have thousands of people singing individually and they all get edited together to create this incredible voice impact.
Mhm.
I'm not totally sure, even if you did that as groups, that would still have an amazing impact, because what they're asking for, what Portsmouth England is asking for, is that I've been thinking the Portsmouth High School chorus would video record them performing the song that Portsmouth England is doing for this 100th anniversary and get it to England by May 21st, which I think is their launch, their big celebration. So I did just yesterday get more details, including the music for this song, so I can share that with the Portsmouth High School choral director, that I think is Steve Gagnon.
I don't know, but if they don't do it, I think there's other people
Other
like,
choruses like
yeah,
Yeah.
like Voices from the Heart, is that what it's
Yeah.
called?
Yeah.
Which has a big international
Portsmouth
focus.
Musica, yeah, I
PM,
mean, there are
PMAC, and
yeah. many others.
I think there's, yeah, something we can do anyway.
Yeah. But as I remember, Portsmouth High School chorus is award-winning in the state.
Oh,
I
wow.
think they won something last year. So I'll start there.
Cool.
And then we can see if it needs to go somewhere else. But it's a great idea.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's an easy one to participate.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it to me, it's like a video chorus. It's like, and they'll say, oh, yeah, sure, we do that all the time.
Stephanie, when you say you got the music, is it a video of a chorus
I'm
in
not sure.
England singing the song?
What we need is the actual
music.
Sheet music, yeah.
Or a link to where they can find it, because I think this song was written specifically.
For this event.
Yes, that was my impression too.
Yeah, me too.
Anything else on the
Follow up.
course?
The one other thing in connection with that isn't officially on the agenda is we just got an invitation from the leader of the council in Portsmouth, England, Portsmouth, England City Council, inviting the mayor to attend either the commemorative civic ceremony on April 21st or the mayor-making ceremony, i.e. the inauguration of the mayor, on the 19th of May. So I have sent this to the mayor's assistant, up to him. He may decide he wants to go.
No, I'm glad we're getting invited to, they're communicating and inviting us
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So that brings up a question. So do we extend invites to our sister cities when we have these kind of things.
So
I know our mayor might turn over more often than theirs, so that may not have the same. I don't know how things
I
work
think
there.
they're like
pretty
2
frequent.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
So we invited whoever could come to our 400th
Yeah.
celebrations. So we had 28th January is the deadline for him to reply.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up with Joanna. So yes, we do extend the invitation. Valerie Rochon reminded us to invite all of our sister cities. And basically the ones that are the most active are the ones who responded. Although the idea came up like a month before the big dinner. And if we had invited the mayor of Japan a month out, he wouldn't have been able to come, and it would have put him in the awkward position of declining. So we didn't invite the mayor of Japan, but the mayor of, as Christine was saying, of Carrickfergus came, and the mayor of Portsmouth came to the parade, or was in the parade, as I remember.
It's here somewhere in that 400th year. I don't remember exactly
Yeah.
when, but
So we don't have a formal way of doing that, and we should. I
And it
think,
gets
your
back to that whole
point.
continuity of this committee,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's another example of where with several months or a year's notice, we could
yeah.
have more of a robust program than.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was kind of thinking about some of the stuff that some of our sister cities are inviting us to are relatively low hanging fruit. Like it doesn't take much for the mayor to have a holiday greeting call, right?
Yeah.
Like we could do that too, something along those lines where, it's a Zoom call, right? Maybe a little fancier than that, but it's a Zoom call. We could
Right.
probably figure that out. So I think there's probably some other things that we could be doing that don't cost a lot of money, don't take a tremendous amount of bandwidth and time and staff time and all that, and might just want to consider it.
Yeah. No, I think
And
that's a
I
good.
think we've kind of started, and I've been working over the past multiple months with the most active relationships. So we have contacts, but formalizing the communications, making a record of who was the contact person for our cities. We don't have written down, and we should. I know that during COVID, the mayor at the time, Mayor Blaylock, sorry,
Yeah.
Mayor Beckstead
Oh.
sent letters to all of our sister cities, acknowledging that we were all in this together and we were thinking of them and whatever. And I think we had a response from Japan. Japan is very good, of course. Nishinat is very good at sending some kind of annual greeting that they send to all of their key contacts. I don't remember hearing from anybody else. But it's still worth doing, maybe we, on the occasion of the 250th anniversary of our declaration, sorry, Portsmouth, England, could send some kind of.
Well, they said that was the start of our friendship.
So we could extend, we hope you will join us in celebrating our great history, or,
Mhm.
blah, blah. I could put something together. But yeah, really good point.
No, I agree. Yeah, right when you said that, I put on the 250th. It's like, and the heads up. Obviously being these international relationships. I mean, anything you'd like to get at least 6 months in advance notice. Or a year.
It's a nice time to say we still love you to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, but also to Ben's point, I mean, if we did things and involved the chamber and involved Sean and said, we're inviting all of our sister cities to learn more about the economy or tourism in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the first of the year, or, it doesn't have to be a holiday. It could just be a topic.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's
Do a
low
Zoom.
hanging fruit to just kind of say, let's do a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And do that.
Something. All right, next we have explore lodging up partnerships for future sister city delegations.
Yeah, we were gonna focus that on Ben when we talked about it in December.
You weren't here, so we appointed you.
Untold, I like it.
Come on.
All those hotels you own, no, just kidding.
So what's the concept is that we have some lodging accommodations that were of the right quality for our guests to.
Pricing for their travel agents and their requirements.
Yeah.
We couldn't just put them up, that wouldn't be seen as appropriate by their cities, by their taxpayers.
Okay.
So if there was a way that we could say we have 3 hotels that would be very happy to welcome our.
Bye, Donna. Thank you all. You're doing a good job.
Thanks. Take care.
And I don't know whether, Robert, you had any in mind or just.
What I had in mind was how badly I felt hearing where our guests stayed last time and how we should have something better for them. Not even figuring out the logistics of or the details of who pays and all of that stuff, just they shouldn't be where.
Maybe like recommended places that support sister cities.
Right, just to have an agreement. My thought was we just have an agreement with somebody, the AC, and if we need them, they'll do something for us, or somebody at the next tier. If we need 3 or 4 rooms for an incoming delegation or sister city, they'll do, they know we might ask them someday, sometime, we have 3 or 4 rooms for a weekend, and they'll give us some type of special pricing, and 2 tiers, 3 tiers, and I even wanted to bring a little bit farther in terms of transportation. See if we can talk to C&J, see if they, obviously I don't want the guy to lose money, but if it's just a for cost endeavor that he gets to a little publicity out of it, he gets to write it off on his taxes maybe, and he can provide a bus back and forth for our guests.
Yeah.
I think there's some group here on Lafayette, I don't know who they are, they run the limousine service or something like that. Again, have a conversation with them. Can they provide a couple of the local buses to drive the folks around and stuff like that? Not for free, I'm not asking for free, I'm just asking for maybe at cost. And just some type of arrangement that we can extend to all these people that come here to
Right.
us.
And I think it's not a specific ask for somebody that we urgently need all of a sudden. It's setting up an understanding with whoever you suggest, Ben, that would be receptive to the idea that this is more than just a standard group rate. This is because we have this relationship with international dignitaries, typically the mayor of these cities, and how can we make sure that they're aware of our resources as much as what can you give us? So if, whatever the best way of setting up that conversation is.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think there's a couple of folks in town, like a Jay McSherry and or Mark McNabb that now has the Treadwell mansion downtown. That those folks do care about having a very positive relationship with our city, and I think would be willing partners and are fairly philanthropic
Mhm.
In the community, and that would, I think, be where I would start. I'm happy to have some of those conversations and see where it goes.
I do agree with Robert, though the tiers will be important because we don't know what their requirements are. Like
Because
Legion had a certain amount of money they were allowed to spend, and we don't know what that is. So
Well, and I would say that it might need to be a little bit of a case by case scenario, and I'm happy to. No one's ever said, like, if I've called and said, hey, we have somebody really important coming to town, can we get a good rate for them? I've never heard somebody say no.
yeah,
So assuming they have availability and they don't have a massive group in or something like that,
Mhm.
people are willing to do that. I think the last time, the scenario you're talking about, I didn't know about it
Right.
until.
None of us.
none of us did.
And I felt bad after the fact, but if we could proactively help these folks, I think that's probably the easiest way to
Yeah,
go about
and
it.
some other place might say to us, where should we stay? Like, we
Right.
didn't know, they just went through their travel agent, cause that's what they're required to do, but we could have visitors from someplace, one of our other sister cities who say, hey, we're gonna come on over there, do you have any recommendations? That'd be easier.
Yeah, especially, so I think, as these conversations happen about people coming in town, one of the questions we can ask is, can we help you find great accommodations here?
Yeah.
And let us know your parameters and we'll make some recommendations. So, cause with all the different types of lodging, some people may like an inn or a B&B scenario, other people, want a restaurant on site, there's all sorts of stuff, so. We can,
Yeah, and I think price was the key driver for Nishinon.
Yeah.
And they just went through a travel agent in Boston and they
Sure.
set it up and we never were able, I mean, I don't even know who that travel agent is because they won't tell me. So I think if we create a program of tiers and share that with the consulates, all of them that we have, the cities, that would be helpful, because then they can channel it politically nicely to the people who are making things.
If you'd like us to help intervene, tell us.
And nobody's sneaking in under the cover of darkness.
Right.
We know they're
Yeah.
coming. And right, so we can reach out to them and say, let us help you with your accommodations, how many, all that stuff. And then we can help. You don't need to go through somebody you don't even know in Boston trying to book a room up here in Portsmouth for you. So.
Yeah, it's,
And cause I remember you mentioned, obviously how their optics, right?
Sure.
Like, we were like, oh, it'd be wonderful if they were just at the Wentworth Hotel, cause that's where the, delegation stayed and they signed the Treaty of Portsmouth. And then it was like, no, that would look bad to their constituents. Cause they don't wanna see pictures of them in some grand ballroom, cause be like, oh, you're wasting our tax money, you know what I mean?
Even
Sort
if
of-
Taking bribes.
and even if we
Yeah.
did it for free,
Yeah.
that would be embarrassing.
Yeah. So I can understand that, but it's good I like being proactive on the stuff and, communicating with them firsthand and then, we can include that in our.
So Ben, if you want any of the rest of us to come have conversations with you.
Sure.
I don't know if you plan to do that like at some of the meet and greets, or if you want to approach people and just say, hey, we're thinking about this, but I'm sure several of
Yeah.
us would be happy to.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, if you want.
I'll discuss it with my team and see best way to go about it.
Yeah, whatever you need, that you can take to.
Um,
I'm just gonna add one item. Donna mentioned the mayor of Santa Carlo coming in February. In February,
oh, I didn't hear that.
she
She,
did,
she mentioned that to me too.
Yeah.
We were chatting for a while before.
Does she know who he's coming to see?
I don't know if, 'cause I thought he came last year, and I thought he was inviting us to Santa Carlo in February. So I don't know if that was
I can try to find out from. Diana.
when she mentioned it, I kind of like, huh, what? Cause I tried to look through all our past meetings and see like, okay, who's our next visitor coming? And I think someone's coming next fall or something, or
Well,
not,
Santa Cangelo students, I think, are coming in the fall,
that's the.
but Nishinon is not coming. We're not going to Nishinon and they're not coming here this year.
Yeah.
It's next year.
And our kids are going in the spring to Italy, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Who's doing what? I'm sorry?
The our high school kids are going to Italy in the spring, and then the Italians come here in the fall.
This spring.
But Nichinon is skipping the whole year both ways, right? We're
Right.
not going there.
They show why?
Costly endeavor, I think.
Yeah, sure it is. Not cheap. Never.
But
yes,
that's good, it gives us some time, actually, but it gives us some time at least to.
as long as it's not February 1st for the mayor.
Yeah, that one and
Trying to find out.
yeah, we'll just double check and see if that's accurate or not, or it's mayor, I was just double checking.
Because I think there's a new
Mayor
mayor
Puglisi?
now. It's not, is it I'm not sure it's the same guy who was here before,
Okay,
but I just don't know.
I do remember him inviting us
Elected
to,
about a year ago.
Italy in February, and I was like, that would be great, but like not convenient, not cheap, not,
Is he going to go skiing? Like, what-
yeah, not like, probably not in the cards.
Skahedi.
Oh,
Well, so,
Sacchetti.
Yeah.
He was elected in 24.
yeah,
That's it.
he was on. So he will be asking us about the artwork.
That's what, this sounds familiar because I think we talked about this in December or November. What do we say? We don't know.
Right, I just didn't know
But I
that
don't- I
the
still don't know
conversation
who
was
he's-
imminent.
Yeah. Does anyone in our mayor's office know he's?
That's what we'll
Let's
ask.
double check, yeah. Let's look into that and see if. I don't know, yeah, what do we do if they are coming, do we try to host an emergency meeting or something?
Yeah.
Where we can communicate through email.
Because when Mayor Sacchetti was here before, he came with the students.
Right.
And then he peeled off, his dad was with him, and they did kind of tour of Portsmouth with Donna and
Yeah.
Manny. Because we didn't know that that was planned, and they were here because of the family connection. And we had a little reception in the mayor's conference room, city manager's conference room. And the two mayors chatted quite animatedly. Great conversation for more than an hour. And then there was a gap between that meeting concluding and the reception for the kids at the school. And it's like, okay, what do we do now? And Donna and Manny volunteered to drive the two of the guests around Portsmouth and do a tour, and brought them back to their house. And just really stepped into the breach, which was really nice of them. So we'll find out and then try to find out what might be appropriate. It's if they have enough time, Park might be interested in hearing more from him.
Yeah.
About the art installation. He understands English, but I wouldn't say that he was comfortable speaking English a lot, but
Yeah, I could tell it was, yeah.
he's very nice,
Interpreter was.
young guy.
Yep.
So I'll find out, get dates, and then communicate with everybody.
Anyone else have any new business items?
It says that the committee will consist of at least 7 members, so we're 6 here.
Yeah.
Bob is the 7th,
Yep.
and
Because we technically right now have, like the mayor reminded, yeah, Steve Canosi's still a member technically. We have Bob. I think actually the assistant mayor was originally on
I think the superintendent was.
was he? I thought it was
I'm
just.
sure he was a voting member.
Anyway, that'll clean that up, but yeah. And my thinking on that was try to keep the quorum at 4, right? So then 4 people could have a meeting. If
I see.
you don't raise the quorum to 5, and then it becomes just harder.
And 3 are citizens, so it's.
Donna, that's why I thought maybe Donna was here.
She would be great to ask, you know what I mean? I'll talk to
Oh,
her about,
No.
I don't know what, she's got on her plate. I know
Well, our lift is pretty light
it is, and it's fun lift, I think.
until the visitors come. And
And I don't
she's
think,
gonna be involved anyway.
we don't force anything, except for the lodging stuff on, but no.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I know. I think we're more,
And I think I don't think you said that specifically, but I do think it's useful to have a school representative. We don't know what the next principal of the high school is
Mhm.
gonna be like, what his interests are. Cause Steve is really into global citizenry
Right.
ship. But having the superintendent or his designate, I think is key because of the relationships with Nishinan and Santa Conchal.
Could be
One of the teachers was here.
Yeah, Laura,
2 of them.
She would be,
yeah.
her compatriot would be a wonderful.
Donna mentioned the Italian teacher at the high school.
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm just thinking, yeah,
Yeah, I
the
know.
language.
Yeah, and I thought that meeting that we had with the teachers who were
That
the
was so-
point people that was really helpful. And at least getting some kind of regular update, not 2 weeks before the groups arrive.
Right.
They were both enthusiastic and Laura had years of doing the Nichinon trip, so I
Yeah.
think,
We should almost ask them to come to meetings to bring us up to speed in
Yeah.
August or something, knowing that there's something happening a
Mhm.
couple months later, so we can make the appropriate accommodations and plans.
and about now,
Yeah,
if our,
and
do we wanna do anything for the students going over there? Like, do we
Yeah.
wanna send anything with our students in the spring going to going to Sant'Arcangelo or?
right.
So maybe they come visit us twice a year, in the winter and the
Yeah.
summer.
Sounds great.
Cause it would be helpful to know, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna see Steve again. Nice to ask the question. Maybe we invite either, I mean, he's still on the committee, so. See if he can make the next meeting or ask the superintendent if he can come. I don't know how to handle that.
I can ask if. Yeah, I can ask. I
I'll
guess.
be ask his boss.
Yeah, I'll just ask, I can ask Karen to ask, I don't know.
Because ask Zach what he wants to.
What they do is wonderful, terrific, and should live on for forever, but it is narrowly tailored
Yeah,
right.
it is.
to the students going over and students coming back, whereas we are more global in what we're trying to do year round with everybody all the time. So having the school involvement is important, but I think it's timely important versus all of us all year long.
Agreed.
I agree. And there is no requirement, for a member from the school department.
Yeah, and I think they're pretty responsive when we invite them.
Absolutely, sure they would.
Yeah.
We're gonna
They
try to
might
help.
not wanna take on an additional chore, but
Right.
I think coming to a meeting twice a year is not a big.
Yeah, how can we help? That's a meeting you wanna go to, right?
Right, and
How can we help?
I think they really got that message when we met with them last time, that like, we're not asking you to do stuff, we're trying to help you.
And it would be good once we have the fund established to know. We don't have their spreadsheet
Yeah.
about what the trips cost yet. And just nailing down some of that record would be helpful and letting them know that we're trying to build in the expectations so that they aren't begging for food at the last minute.
Yeah.
Our students on the corner in Nichinon.
No, it'll be helpful once we have a fund and we have,
Yeah, exactly.
I do really like, it was mentioned earlier that we should reach out to the Boston Sisters. It has to be a group. I noticed the one was just added in 2025, so there has to be somebody working on it in Boston. I don't, staff or committee or whatever have you. But I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with sister cities, so I don't really know what should we be doing, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So if we can learn from some others that are doing this and, if we can find some low cost, low lift ideas to do, that would be meaningful.
I volunteer to reach out to Boston.
Okay.
I've talked to a couple different ones after Stephanie and I went to a lot of the SSI national meetings. I
Okay.
reached out to a couple and they do it all different ways. There's
Yeah.
standalone nonprofits, there's city-based, government-based. And some of them are really active and some of them are like, yeah, we have sister cities. But I think you're right. Boston is close enough to us to say, how do you guys do this?
It was the former committee did a survey of some cities. And I remember we talked to Portland, Maine as well,
Mm.
because they have similar profile and found out that sometimes it was active and sometimes it wasn't. But yeah, it just seems like Boston is control
Yeah,
comparison.
agreed. Bigger, a little bigger than us, but
But not in.
we have a lot of things in common, so. Okay.
Anyone else have anything else? Just lost our old public comment.
Yeah. No one else.
Oh, we lost her. Let me make sure.
I know.
didn't see anybody.
Sorry.
I was glad that Donna was here though. All right, I'll wait a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second, all right, all in favor? All right, thank you.